Alright guys, I have to say this. It's the reason I started the channel, because I've got things to say. Society is not built for monogamy anymore. And I don't think that's man's fault. I believe it's a combination of women's fault with the adaptation of technology. Back in the day, Susie, the hot girl in a small town, was kind of choosing between, like the local business owner. He owned a restaurant, the local politician, and like the next door neighbor who, had a high salary job at the bank, right? That's who hot Susie, the hottest girl in town, had access to. And usually it worked out pretty well, because then all of the less attractive girls, or the middle of the ranking girls, also were able to find guys who were relatively, they were above their level, but they were still, within one or two ranges of their level of attractiveness and SMV, sexual marketplace value. But what happened in the 2000s, since dating apps happened, since Facebook happened, since the internet, now that Susie, who's, 8, 9, or 10 in terms of level of attractiveness, has access to the whole world. Now she just doesn't want, the local guy that's making $80,000 a year. She now has access to Dubai billionaires, right, who will fly her out, buy her a purse, buy her a car, and then send her home, because Susie's now for the streets. And then she gets home, she still doesn't want anything to do with that guy who makes $80,000 a year. And so she's going to go back on that dating app. She's going to find another multi-millionaire from Hong Kong that wants to fly her out. Because for that multi-millionaire, he's got $100 million every month. He's making like $1 million. So for him, that money does not matter to spend $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 just for his fun and access to the hottest women in the world. And so now Susie goes out to fly and meet that, rich guy in Hong Kong. But obviously he just wants her for, a couple weeks of fun, and then he sends her back to her small town in the US. And now Susie's been ran through 2 times, and now she's impossible to marry, because the more bodies that a woman has, the less chance that she's going to have a successful marriage and long-term marriage. And this is a fact and statistic shown by studies, that the more bodies a woman has, you can expect that she's going to have a failed marriage. And so she goes on the dating apps again, and she looks for, the next hottest, richest guy that she can find. Whether it's in the US or another country, she's going to find it, because the one thing all men want is a hot woman, of the hottest nature, and, a young woman, because in our biology, we want somebody that can have a child. And you just imagine this story of Susie, but now it's happening hundreds of millions of times. And you could see that society no longer values just being with one person. Yes, you can try and find a religious girl, and that's going to help you. But this is also why I say to short men that you can have success no matter what, if you get your life right. The ladder keeps getting higher and higher, but if you have your life in a good position, even as a short man, you're going to be able to find a woman that's going to care for you and, will give you a child, especially overseas. I'm not so sure it's that possible in the West anymore, and I'm not going to waste my life trying. If you have, a place in the world where life is on easy mode, where you can find a woman, even if you're that guy making $80,000 a year, or less, if you're an average guy making $40,000 a year, you can find a chick in Southeast Asia, you can find a chick in South America, fairly easily, that will want to be in a relationship with you. Now, it's even changing for those chicks, because now those chicks are getting access to the best guys. I know, especially in Thailand, dating used to be extremely easy. Same in Bali, Indonesia. These places used to be extremely easy. And now more and more wealthy foreigners are coming, because they hear of this land, they hear of the promised land, right? And So now we are getting more competition from other foreigners like us that have abandoned the West. But the good thing is that society creates a deep trap for these people. It's not easy to make enough money to escape. It's not easy to have an online job. You have to be smart, creative, persistent, hardworking. And I truly believe that anybody can, but not everybody is willing to go through the necessary steps in order to have that successful online work, that successful large amount of money that then creates returns so you can live in these other countries. Boy, I've got a story to tell later. It's going to be another video about how I was dating a girl, and she had an online boyfriend that she met, sending her several $1,000s a month, but then secretly she was dating me and, doing various things with me that her boyfriend overseas would not have approved of. So that's why, guys, yeah, you can have an overseas relationship, but she's going to be giving up the cat to the hottest guy in the closest proximity to her. Now, a good friend of mine said that in jail, the closest gets the mostest. So if you are, closest to the food, if you're working in the food, you're going to be able to get the most food in jail. Now, this is true for real life, too. Whoever is closest to the girl is going to get the most of her attention, the most of what we want, the cat, right? AKA the thing all men in the world want. And if you're a guy that's very far away and you're giving her cash, okay, you might get some attention, you might get some, exclusive photos or videos, but that's, at the end of the day, not 100% fulfilling, and nor is it our biological imperative to continue our DNA having kids, or at least having the possibility of kids. And our subconscious mind knows that anytime you are actually with a woman, in the long term, you want to have, a child. Even if you're seeing multiple women, eventually you're going to want to have a child, and all of those things that you've gained from dating other women now come into play. So if you have access to other women early on, you now gain confidence with women. You now gain personality. You now gain knowledge and insight into female nature. And all of these things are going to help when you meet the woman that you really want to settle down with for the long term. Now, as a short man, all of these skills are based on your, own personality, based on your own ability to push yourself, to learn. Nowhere in there did I say that being short was going to stop you from this success. So whether you're short or whether you're tall, I'm going to have, similar advice, because you're going to want to, be the best you that you can be either way. That's why I'm saying it's mostly in the West that you are totally just ignored as a short man by the most selective females. And I'm not going to lie that height does matter to some extent. It's not 100%, but it's maybe 5% or 10%, because some of the women literally say in their dating apps, I will not date a man who's under, 6 feet tall. What is that in centimeters? That's like 190 centimeters tall. I might be wrong there. Let me check later. So there are women that totally exclude women who are men who are short, and there's whole biological reasons for that too. Such as back in the day when men were cavemen. Of course, the taller man had a better chance of defeating the lion and bringing back home the meat. And in this day, it's more about a different kind of hunting. But sometimes people still have these biological imperatives, and you can't fight to change people. You just have to change yourself and make the world, as good for you as you can. You cannot change the world. You can just try and change your situation. And as I've talked with many of my very smart friends, the West is a sinking ship for single men. And you need to get out while you can and find a life raft. That's essentially what I've done. And my life raft has been dating essentially 200 beautiful girls now over the last few years. Maybe just 2 or 3 years I've dated 200 mostly cute girls, occasionally some average ones, some below average ones. But for me, I've wanted this experience because in the West I had dated maybe just 5 or 6 girls with this level of ease. And this experience has allowed me to grow my confidence. It's allowed me to see many different kinds of girls. It's allowed me to see, who exactly fits for my lifestyle and who does not fit. And that comes from also taking risks, from maybe dating people that you think might not be your exact type. But no matter what happens, not only do you learn things about other people, but you also learn things about yourself. You learn, do I like a girl who's a party girl? Do I like a girl that's a devout, religious Christian or Muslim? Do I like a girl that's somewhere in between? Someone that, might drink on the weekends, have party, but during the week has a normal job, has a stable life, goes to bed by 9 p.m. and cares about her family. At least for me, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't want a girl that's going out every night, one of these club rats, as people say. But I think I'd also get bored of a woman that's just 100% devout to, her religion, only does what her family says. Because what happens is that when a woman only does what her family says, she never does what you say. And as a man, you want a woman that does what you say, because you're a leader. Because in the end, when you have all this experience, you actually know more than the woman. And women are naturally more fearful than men, and that's because the world is, a slightly more dangerous place for women. There are crazy guys out there that would harm women, and so they've developed this, protection instinct. So what you have to do as a man is start to show the safety signals to them. Okay, look, you're going to be safe with me. I'm going to be able to afford to pay for a taxi for you at night so you don't have to walk alone in the dark. I'm going to have a nice, room that has security guards that's going to protect you no matter what. You can see that I'm a strong man that's going to be able to protect you. If we're walking around, if we go to a restaurant at night, and, I'm going to be able to take you to a country where the crime rates are lower. I'm going to have the financial resources to put you in a place which is safe. All of these things allow a woman to start to trust you more and start to develop a relationship with you much faster than, say, if you didn't have the resources to do this, than, say, if you were overweight and you couldn't protect that woman. And these are things which are going to help you. Yes, even as a short man, it's going to be harder to fight a taller man. But if you are training in the gym, if you are taking Muay Thai classes, if you are eating right, then actually you can overcome these differences that you were born with. Especially because people in today's world are lazy. They are lazy. They don't want to walk 10 minutes to go get their food from the restaurant. They don't want to spend 10 minutes cooking. They just want to order from the app and it shows up to them, okay? They don't want to walk 20 minutes to go to the store or go to the restaurant. They don't want to walk 20 minutes to go to the beach. They want to take a taxi. They want to take a car. They don't want to take a bicycle. God forbid obese people actually lose some fat, or that they start to increase their lung capacity and increase their overall health. No, they want to take the lazy option because our psyches and our natural human instinct is to use as little energy as possible. Because back in the day, food was scarce. We didn't want to use energy. We had to conserve until when we really needed it to fight the lions, to fight the elephants, to fight the woolly mammoths, to bring food back, to gain more energy. But we're not in that time anymore. As prices increase, as inflation increases and makes food more expensive, I think it's bringing us back to that point slightly, where those of a lower income status now have to conserve more resources in order to get that food. But you combat that by, if you're on a farm, you can make your own food. Many people in these third world countries aren't so stressed out because they can farm, because they can produce exactly what they need for survival, and so they don't need as much money. Now, what does that mean for you as a short man looking to, conquer the world and at least have your own family one day at the bare minimum? It means you need to start getting your resources up as you can. I'm not telling you have to be, a multi-millionaire, but if you can, start saving $100 a month. Start looking for extra opportunities to make, $1,000 per month, and put that stash away, because you see that prices are going to rise and rise and rise, and that's all planned. The top 1% want those resources for themselves, and they don't care about the other 99% of men. That's why you had to fight to allow your DNA to continue on in the lineage, because there are people out there that don't want your DNA to continue. There are people out there that literally have hundreds and thousands of women around them all the time because they are the multimillionaires and billionaires of the world. And it's all planned. So continue to stack your resources. Start listening to more of my videos. Start listening to videos of other podcasters and develop your escape plan. Because I'm telling you, if you are stuck in the West, your DNA might not continue. Or if it does, you might be doing that with an unhealthy woman, with a woman who's obese. And then what does that mean for your children? That means that your children might be even shorter than you. That means that your children might not be as healthy as they could be. Both my parents were taller than me, actually. But I think my father, he picked a woman who was not the right mate. She was not very healthy. She was slightly overweight. And as a result, now I have to live with the consequences of it. And it's true for you guys too. There are also, lots of science about hormones of being short. There's tons of reasons. We're going to get into that. But whatever that is, you can't really control that now. What you can control is how healthy are you being. Check your hormones. Check your vitamins. Check your income status and what you can do to upgrade it, because you have to fight to allow your DNA to continue. Especially as a lower height man, some of the world is stacked against you in the West. But I'm telling you, once you go overseas, you're going to find a massive success. You're going to forget about your height, because it does not matter. It does not matter in a spiritual sense. It does not matter in an actual sense. It does not matter in a dating sense when you move overseas. Why would you play life on hard mode when there is a world of easy mode, when there is a world of normal mode? It doesn't make any sense, because this is your life. You want to be happy. Science says that depression is the number one thing that reduces your lifespan. So why are you going to be in a place that makes you more depressed? You're going to be around people that don't care about you. So to get back to what I was saying, this modern world, it's not for monogamy anymore. It's sad. It's really sad, but it's true. My very first woman that I really fell in love with in high school, she was a virgin, and I was not a virgin at the time, but I had decided that this girl was going to be the one for the rest of my life. Even if she had some problems, I said, okay, I'll wait for you forever. We can have a long distance relationship, even though after our high school, we're going to different colleges. I was 100% dedicated. But what happened was she didn't care at all. She went out and had a relationship with another man very shortly after me. And what was terrible was she said, oh, I miss you so much. Actually, I found a man that looks like you. And so I was heartbroken at that moment. And I realized that this complete dedication to monogamy would essentially destroy my life if I let it. And I think that's happening to a lot of men. The difference between men and women is that actually I think men are the true romantics of the world. Men are the ones that have ideals and stick to them. If a man says, I'm going to dedicate myself to you, it means something different than when a woman says that. When a man says that, it means it's his principle. And not every man is going to, stick to that. I'm not, one of these women, anti-women podcasters. I'm just saying that men and women think differently. Men think highly logically. But when a woman says that, I'm going to stick with you, it means that I care about who you are now. You have resources. You have an ability to provide a life for me and my children. I'm going to stay with you as long as you can continue to provide for that. I'm going to stay with you as long as you continue to be confident and a dominant man. But if you ever start to slack, I'm going to leave you and find another one. So there's two very different meanings there. And you have to be aware of this. You have to be aware that every day you have to be getting better. You cannot allow yourself to get fat. You cannot allow yourself to get weak, weak-minded, weak body, weak nutrition, weak finances, weak network. You have to have your inner circle strong as well, because all of these things affect each other. So in essence, you can see that I mentioned that dating apps are, probably the biggest reason that monogamy is no longer available. But if it wasn't dating apps, it would be some other aspect linked to the internet, because now the world is completely connected. Hot girls have access to the richest men of the world, but those men are never going to settle down with them. And that's the problem. And women do not think logically. They feel, oh, this man's so rich, I love him, I want to have his children, he's going to want me. But they don't think in advance, this man is never going to want them. This man is going to continue to, make single mothers with hundreds and hundreds of women, just like Genghis Khan, and sleep with tons and tons of women because he's taken the steps to achieve that success. And whether that man is tall or short, I'm telling you, it doesn't really matter, because he's achieved that success. And for these women, it doesn't matter either. I'm telling you, get into the gym, look as best you can, but that's not 100% of the equation. And yes, now the world's completely interconnected, and there's nothing you nor I can do to stop it. There's nothing anyone can do to stop it, because the internet is unleashed. These women have instant access to the best men of the world. And now with cheaper plane flights, fuel's going up now, so it's getting more expensive compared to a few years ago. But plane flights are still relatively cheap compared to, 1970s, 1960s. Back then, only super rich people could afford it. So if you save up, $1,000, you can basically fly anywhere in the world. And that is considered a luxury of our modern day and time. And now we have internet where we can make income online if we're smart enough and creative enough. So you've got people that are living in these countries and taking advantage of, the positive lifestyles that they can have. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But the majority of people in the world will not be able to do that, because the majority of people are not, a top 1% intelligence. But the majority of people in the world are not top 1% work ethic, because that's the thing. Once you get here, you still have to maintain a high work ethic. You still have to maintain a balance of life. You can't go out drinking every single night. You can't go out, looking for you can go out and date new women every night, but it has to be a balance. If you're going to want that extreme lifestyle, you have to say, okay, I'm going to work for 7-8 hours today, and then I'm going to go out and date girls for a couple of hours, but I need to make sure I have my health in order, my sleep in order. I have to make sure that I'm, achieving my business goals first. You cannot let these distractions destroy your own mindset, your own personal goals, because then the house of cards just falls down altogether. So listen to me, guys, especially short guys, short men of the world. Don't feel down. There is hope for you. The number one thing I've found was that if you felt they did a study between two rats. They let rats drown in water and try to swim. The rats swam for about 10 minutes before they drowned. But if they took the rats out of the water, if they let the rats swim for 5 minutes and then they took the rats out of the water and then put them back in the water, those rats swam for, I think, like 36 hours, because those rats felt that there was a hope that they were going to be taken out of that water. And the same is true for humans. If you think there is no hope, you're not going to be able to work as hard. You're not going to be able to last as long. And I'm here to tell you, there is a big hope for you. And I'm telling you, that hope is moving overseas. That hope is thinking in your mind that there are alternative lifestyles out there that are going to be better for you than the one you're in right now. There are other places that will treat you better. If you're in a toxic relationship, if you're in a relationship with a woman that you don't find attractive and you think you have to put up with it because you're short or because you're, less than average in, by Western standards, that's not true. There are people that will appreciate you. There are friends that will listen to you. There are friends that will cherish you. There are girls out there that will love you for exactly who you are. And you don't have to go through this mental gymnastics of, oh, do I look too short? Oh, I'm not, enough. I'm not attractive enough for the girl. You are. You just haven't met the right girls. You haven't gone abroad. You haven't seen that there are people out there that want the same thing as you. And so I encourage you, at least take a flight to Southeast Asia or South America. At least try one time before you start to say, oh, the world's terrible. I'm short forever. This is going to, hurt my life. I have no chance. Just try. And I promise you, you're going to be wildly surprised. I was, and I've already been, an open-minded person from who my parents were. I had a father who was an international poker player, already kind of a red pill job. And so if you do that, I want you to leave a comment. Tell me what your experience is. Where are you thinking of going? Why are you thinking of going there? Just for dating? There are also many other things. Lower cost of living, overall happiness and satisfactory with your life. I want to know, guys. Comment below. There are tons of options. I have tons of recommendations. Of course, for me, I love Thailand. I love Indonesia. I love Vietnam. I love Taiwan. Those are my personal favorites. But there are a lot of people that love South America. People love Colombia. Argentina has a really good exchange rate. I mean, it's not good for the Argentinians themselves, but if you're making a Western currency, you are going to be literally like a top-notch, high-level king there if you're making $4,000 a month in Argentina, because the peso, I mean, the government is so corrupt. But that's why you have to look. I mean, you don't want to live in a place which is so corrupt that it, is causing terrible life consequences for other people, and causing riots. But at the end of the day, you have to see how you're treating people. If you go to Argentina, are you going to have, beautiful girls? Yes. Are you going to have, an amazing apartment for $400 a month? Yes. Are you going to be able to have the best steaks in the world for $5 or $6? Yes, you will. Are you going to be able to learn, culture and tango for just a couple of bucks? Yes. And then that's going to allow you to impress girls even more. And we can get into why dancing is another psychologically and instinctual, aspect that attracts girls. Because basically, if you have strong hips and strong legs, that's a good sign that you're going to have strong testosterone and be more easily, you can easily make a child then if your testosterone levels are high. So all of these things are connected, and women are highly, highly influenced by their subconscious. Men have a subconscious too, but we are much more in our conscious minds than women. Women are like 10% conscious, 90% subconscious. Men, it's more like 50-50. We have a lot more conscious control, but the subconscious does affect us in many ways. With dating too. That's why we like beautiful women. That's why we don't really care much if they make much money, or if they have a career, or if they have as high an education. All right, guys. I think I've had a good talk session here. I want to let you know, just try it, man. Head to another country. Comment below, where do you want to go? Where are you planning on going? Or where have you been? And what has been your experience dating there? All right, thanks. Have a great day, guys. Keep the short pill in your life every day. I'm out. Peace.